All right. Here we are. Welcome to the Investing Across Borders show with Miri and Shema. And we have a special guest today, Sean Palmer. So it's always, we try to go live at 12:30 on Thursdays, and today we're super on time. So that's
Sure.
pretty awesome. Uh, so Sean, thank you so much for joining us today. This is a show where we talk about different things related to investing across borders. And because you're an expert when it comes to stuff we're going to talk about, you're going to give us some advice for foreign nationals investing in the US. So welcome. Do you want to say something about yourself before we get started?
Absolutely. First of all, it's always a pleasure to be invited to opportunities to speak about not only the franchise industry, but how you can help individuals become successful in their lives when they're looking for something. Everybody has a family they want to take care of, and franchising is a great way to do it. I really appreciate the opportunity. My expertise in the industry goes back about 30 years. I was in a family business that sold all of the equipment to most of the food franchise companies across the world. And because of that experience for about 12 years, it allowed me to understand what franchising was and how large it was, dealing with companies from McDonald's, Hardee's, Chick-fil-A, Burger King, you name it, Starbucks. And those companies are all magnificent at what they do, regardless of whether you love their food or you have a difference of opinion. But what we do know is we see their locations all over the place. And that led me to really figure out if I wanted to participate in the franchise industry deeper. So I began to dabble in the franchise industry. I didn't totally understand it, but I went to work for a couple of great companies. And from there, I actually created one of my own franchise companies. And so that company was bought by a prominent company in the franchise industry. And eventually, in my career, I wound up with United Franchise Group. And it's really after I had been extremely successful in developing my own and working for some great companies. And I had to determine if this was the company that was for me, and when I looked at United Franchise Group, what I found was a 36-year-old company that has been in business for a very long time. They have 10 brands. They're in 80 countries. So international is a big deal for us. And we have over 2,000 locations globally. And I've been a regional vice president for United Franchise Group in the United States. I was also the international director of Australia, and I also covered parts of Asia. And from living in Australia and throughout Asia for about 4 to 5 years, I learned the value of doing international business and how important it was to work with individuals not only in those countries, but to bring the individuals that wanted to come back to the United States, to give them a platform, something that they could rely on, something that would give them everything they needed to not only invest, but also have something that was real, that would allow their families to make an income and create an opportunity here in the United States. And so that's really why we're here talking today. We want to make sure individuals know the capability and the depth that not only can I offer them, but with the massive support of United Franchise Group.
That's awesome. So Rupert Henry is saying hi. Thank you for tuning in, Rupert. We have some people live, so if anybody's watching, just let us know you're here live. We always like to give shout outs to people that are here. So Sean, thank you for that introduction. That is amazing. I don't know anybody who has lived in Australia, Asia, and the US. So that's pretty cool. And we're here because you're going to give us some advice, right, to foreign nationals. So why don't we start with that? We want to know and understand. And what would you tell a foreign national about investing in a business in the US? What would be the key advice that you would tell them?
Well, first of all, I would say you've got to do your due diligence. You've got to know whom to contact that will put you in a safe place where your money's safe, so it can grow and have a great opportunity. The franchise industry is very large. It's about 6,500 brands across the country. And the reason that number is important is because not all 6,500 is something you probably should invest in. I would say everyone has a brochure, everyone has a company name, and they all have a franchise because they've established themselves properly, but they don't have the support. And I'm not saying that all these companies don't have support. What I'm saying is that you have to evaluate them carefully. And when you look at a company and you look at a brand, it typically takes a franchise company about 10 years to get to 100 locations. And when you look at a new brand, there's nothing wrong with new brands, because without new brands, there would be great companies that didn't exist. Like if you can think back, like Orange Theory and Massage Envy and those great companies came out, and they were small companies and they grew to these enormous companies, right? But when you look at a franchise company, you want to make sure that level of support is here. And so what we'll do today is I'll go through kind of a brief presentation that will go through the levels of support of what a franchise company should have. And when you're looking at a brand, if you don't see that level of support, what I would caution you is to back up. I would say take a step back, and then look for another company and start doing your due diligence properly. So if you do, you're going to find something that's really exciting and you're passionate about it. And it's also going to be an opportunity that's going to yield you, it should yield you a nice profit, once you establish that business in the way that it's set up to be.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we love franchises because you can do that due diligence. And you mentioned Orange Theory. I'm a big fan. I go a lot. And actually, I live very close to where it originally started. So you can see the amazing job that some franchises do and the growth that they've had, where a few years ago they were just a small shop and now it's all over the world. So it's amazing what the opportunities are and what you can be a part of. So before we get started with your presentation, Shamat, you want to say some words? You have any questions for Sean?
No, I'm really just absorbing
I think we lost Shamat for a second there.
as in-depth in their experience as Sean. So yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying this.
Oh, okay, perfect. We got her back. We lost you for a second, but I think we
Oh,
got
sorry.
it. It's okay. It happens right when you are called on, right? Like, right, you lose a little bit for like
So weird.
3 seconds. It always happens. It's all good. So, okay, Sean, do you wanna say a few words, or do you wanna get started with some of the important information that you wanted to share?
I think starting with the information will be great. It'll generate some questions probably from the audience. And I think that, this right here, I think we're in the end of the presentation.
Let me go back to number 1. There we go.
Yeah. So I'll tell you a true story. It's pretty cool. 7 years ago, when I was being interviewed by a United Franchise Group, I'd like to say that my expertise would allow me to just easily get this job. And I was interviewed 11 times before they hired me. And when I got to the corporate office, which was very early, I walked into the receptionist area, and the receptionist, which was impressive, said, "Good morning, Mr. Palmer. Please have a seat. And Mr. Titus will be with you soon." And Ray Titus is the CEO of the company. But while I was sitting there, I read this: we have one customer, our franchisee. When they are successful, we are successful. I've been a part of a lot of great companies. Those companies all have mission statements. And I would say that when a company doesn't really live up to their mission statement, it's a disappointment to everyone that is involved, whether it's an employee or as a customer. And what I found in 7 years of being part of United Franchise Group is we absolutely take care of our customers. And because we're 36 years old and we have 10 brands, those 10 brands didn't start because we started with 10. We started with 1, and we'll go through some of those brands that we have. We have quite an ecosystem, and we cover 3 different areas. United Franchise Group has a consulting division, we have a retail division, and we have a food division. And so sometimes if you share this with someone, they go, well, Sean, I love to eat, but I don't want to own a restaurant, and I was like, well, great. Maybe you would like one of the sign franchises that we offer, Signorama. Signorama was the first brand that we created. It was created in New York in the corner of a Minuteman Press because Ray's father was the creator and founder of Minuteman Press. It became a global company. And when Ray was a young age of 23, he created Signorama. Today, Signorama is one of the largest sign companies in the world. And when you go around the ecosystem of United Franchise Group, 5 of those 10 brands are number 1 in their category globally. And so that's impressive because for a company to have 5 number 1 brands, that's an enormous feat. If you keep going, Fully Promoted is a fully branded marketing company. Venture X is a co-working office space, anywhere from about 15,000 square feet to over 60,000 square feet per location. Transworld is one of the largest business brokerage companies in the world. We are the largest. Network Lead Exchange is similar to what we would probably hear something like somebody would say BNI for a referral network. The Great Greek is one of my favorites. I found it in 2016 when it was one location. It was a mom and pop. As of yesterday, we've sold more than 276 locations in 4 short years. And then Office Evolution is one of the companies that we just acquired. It's a co-working office space, but it is much smaller locations, around 6,500 square feet, maybe a little larger. And then Gray's Craze is a charcuterie franchise. Charcuterie started international in Europe. Everybody loves it. They've been eating charcuterie for about 300 years. And now charcuterie has made its way to the United States. And we've got about 150 locations sold in this brand new brand that's only 2 years old. It's one of the fastest growing brands out there. And the Great Greek as well. It's the rate of success that we're having with our brands is unprecedented. And really out of 36 years, which should be impressive to the audience. We're a very large company. In any given year, we can sell 350 to 600 franchises annually. And this is our 36th year, and we will have more new clients buying franchises in 2022 than any year that we've been in business. And so even through the pandemic, even through inflation, you've got to think about that. But to me, when things get tight in the financial markets and in the corporate world, people then go, you know what? I'd like a positive change. I'd like to take care of my family in a way that's something I can trust. And so when you turn to a company like United Franchise Group that has the depths of support, that's why this becomes a little easier for someone that is taking hard-earned money, coming into a country where they're not familiar with it, and investing into something they can trust. And I think that that's super important.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll go through some of this, somewhat quickly, because I know that we're live and I want everyone to not get tied down just to the slides and the things that we're talking about. But the great things that United Franchise Group does extremely well. We have second to none training for our franchise companies. That's anywhere from 2 to 5 weeks, depending on the brand. We're not only great at creating companies, we're great at launching them. When you get your business, we know that when you start to use our levels of support that's there, sometimes franchisees begin to feel guilty because they're calling so much. They should not feel guilty, but we give them a mentor program. And that mentor is someone that has a brand that they've invested in that's allowed them to call as many times as they need until they're up to speed. And it helps them go through those growth phases and work with someone that's already gone through it. And then we also have strategic planning. So we work with those individual businesses annually to make sure they're setting their goals, hitting their goals, and we're also coaching them to get there. And then there's regional meetings with all of our brands. Annually, we will have a 4, 5, or 6-star hotel established in one major city somewhere in the United States or in the world. We'll bring all those franchisees together and we coach them how to be better franchisees. We let them meet each other. We allow them to grow in a way by becoming friends and almost family with their sister franchisees. And we give them professional support. I cover, as a regional vice president, 14 states, and those 14 states have people from operations advisors all the way to people that just handle advertising, grand opening, logistics, whatever you need. There's about almost 250 people just at our corporate office in West Palm Beach, Florida. That corporate office allows individuals to stay in their lane and do what they do best. We're not a company that just hires. I know brands that have sold hundreds of franchises, and the level of support in their corporate office is around 15 to 20 people. That to me is just extremely low. And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to support. When you buy a franchise and you spend $100,000 or you spend $1 million, whatever that dollar amount is, if you don't have the support, I'm not sure why you bought a franchise. And that's why it's incredibly important. So comprehensive training, we do that at our corporate office. Our corporate office is over 60,000 square feet. It's in West Palm Beach, Florida. When we launch your business, we have incredible advertising departments that go within each franchise brand, establish them with all social media, and make sure that those franchises are being promoted properly from day one. And here's that mentor program that works extremely effective. One of our franchisees that owns a Signarama, I sold in the Seattle market. He was one of the key executives that worked with Bill Gates at Microsoft. And when he purchased the Signarama, I knew that he would do well. I just didn't know, to what level. And this particular franchisee has become one of the best Signaramas in the world, right from Seattle, Washington. And they are from Taiwan. And so just to, give you an idea that when someone comes over, and just because that, if you are coming straight into a franchise, or let's say you start with a corporate job and you move into a franchise and you're an international investor and you're trying to establish your visa program, a lot of times people come over on some kind of a corporate opportunity and move themselves over into a franchise. I see it all the time. And I think that that's an important to understand that you've got to have the highest level of expertise in all of these levels to make sure that what you're working on actually has a path forward to actually get your visa and also have your business put in place. In strategic planning, I'm not sure everybody likes this word, because strategic means that you're going to evaluate what you're doing and you're going to set new goals and you're going to implement those things. And every year, United Franchise Group, all the employees get involved and we have strategic planning. I'll tell you, is as much of gets accomplished, you can see a little frustration with a lot of employees putting their ideas on these little slips and popping it up on the wall. And then we go through and pull down the worst ones and keep the good ones, and we implement that. So it's pretty cool. And we did the same thing for our franchisees. And that's the reason that we do strategic planning. And then those regional meetings, just with Signarama, there's over 800 franchisees globally. And we just brought them all to Las Vegas and had a convention to train them to how to be better franchisees. I'll tell you, I've been to many of these franchisees all over the world in their locations, and I've never seen more people care about each other and love each other than even just this brand. And I always tell people, our best franchisees are couples, husband and wife working together. A lot of people think that's a little bit dangerous, but and then you find these husband and wives forming these relationships with other couples that own Signaramas, and they just enjoy vacations and enjoy life and grow their businesses together and share ideas. It's a great time to learn how to do better. And then, our field staff support is second to none. We have marketing, we have technical people, we have training, how to hire new employees, how to put a supervisor over a larger business that might have multiple locations. Those things are all necessary, and those are some of the things that I do. And then we also, for anyone that's a foreign national, whether you're in Australia, or you're in the Philippines, or you're in Europe, we have what we call a virtual Discovery Day. Before COVID, I will tell you, Discovery Days were in person. Everybody flew to the corporate office, whether that was in Europe or Australia or West Palm Beach, Florida. And today we can accomplish this in about 2 to 2.5 hours, no matter which brand that we choose. And during this time, not only is it a time that they get to answer or get to ask questions that they have about the brand, but we answer those questions. They get to know the depths of the company. They may meet with the CEO, Ray Titus. They may meet with Jim Butler, who's been with the company for 36 years. That's the president of the food division. Or they will meet with head of training or head of support or head of real estate. Because all of the things that matter to people is, Sean, I have the money to make an investment, but how are we going to find the location? How are we going to negotiate that lease? How are you going to get all that equipment in that building, and who's going to construct it? And the cool thing about our company is we have people that handle every one of those things, and we make it look easy. I'll tell you, it's not easy. We've been doing this 36 years. We've made some mistakes along the way. We've cleaned up those mistakes to become a very great company. I will tell you, the company is privately held. We don't sell stock in this company. And the way it's formed, I see it as being a very long-term, it will be a large company that happens to operate like a small one, the one that cares and wants people to succeed and take care of them. And then the last thing is, the purpose of United Franchise Group is to encourage and help people become successful, entrepreneurs to enhance their lives and the communities around them. We're in 80 countries around the world. There's very few companies that can say that they're in 80 countries. And we successfully have our brand spread throughout the globe. And we professionally support those franchises with the support in every country that we're in. We're not only looking for master licensing, but we're looking for individual franchisee investors. And then we are also looking for multi-unit development investors. That would be someone that would want 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, or even 25 in a particular market. And we work with all of those investors in different capacities. And so really that's the kind of the deeper levels of support that United Franchise Group offers and some of the brands that we have. And that'll give everyone an idea of, if they have an interest, they can reach out to me, Sean Palmer. They can reach out to United Franchise Group through our corporate website. And every one of our brands have their own websites that they can acquire about as well.
That's so great. Sean, thank you so much. I think we had some people. I want to just make sure that we get to some of their questions. If anybody has a question, feel free to post it in the chat. And I think we had Balal ask, can we talk about the investors' visa types for foreign investors? Does the country, I guess, have a business treaty with the U.S.? Balal, that's exactly what we do. So we're going to put the consult link in the chat on LinkedIn. I know you're coming from LinkedIn, and we're like on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and YouTube, and everywhere. So, excuse me. So, Balal, that would be a question that maybe we can talk a little bit more in detail. Primarily, I can tell you that we work a lot with E2s, and obviously when it comes to franchises, and whenever you're looking for a franchise, we have to make sure that they work with E2 or other types of visas. So that's something that either like we can help you or Sean can help you. But the good thing about what we do is that it is a way to invest in the US in a way that, like Sean was saying, that you're able to do your due diligence, that you're investing in a business that has been proven. You're not starting from scratch. You have the support that Sean just mentioned, not just through the United Franchise Group, but within the franchise itself. So that's why we brought Sean in here, because it's important to know what are some of the things that you need to look for when you're looking to invest in the US, and a franchise is one of the best ways to do it. So, Shamat, before we go, do you have anything else that you want to add?
No, this was really good. This was super insightful, actually. So, really look forward to speaking with you again about this topic, as I like the time was a little bit shorter than it needs to be. So, yeah, we definitely would love to talk a little bit more about this, and I'm pretty sure that people are also interested in this topic with your insight and your experience. So,
Well, it's a pleasure from living abroad and living in many countries around the world. And I tell people I'm a dual citizen. I have Italian and American, and so international business is very important to me. But I just can't thank you enough for allowing me to be here to work with each and every person that needs help. Our goal every day that we wake up is to take care of those families and individuals, for they can become successful and just have a higher quality of life through the business that we've helped them create through our systems that we've developed over a very long part of time.
Thank you so much, Sean. And I do want to remind everybody that we have amazing events coming up in just 2 weeks. I mean, actually, now it's like a week. So next, the 26th, I think is next Wednesday, we're going to be having a masterclass, the Investing Across Borders Masterclass. It's about achieving your dream. It's about how do I get to South Florida? How do I get to Texas? How do I get to Arizona? How do I get to work with Sean to help me find a franchise? How do I get there so that you can make your life and you can make your dreams a reality? And that's what we're going to talk about. Lauren talks about the 10-step process to investing in the US. Also, real estate, whatever it is, we give you so many options and we help you to make sure that you can make that dream come true. So that is happening on Wednesday, October 26th at 12:30. And we'll put the link somewhere on this video. I know somebody from the team will find a way to put that in there. And we're live on our Facebook group, Canadians Investing in the US. So you're not in that Facebook group yet, you got to join it because there's so much important information going in and out, and there's so many amazing people there. So I also want to thank Mike Nicholson. Thank you so much for being here. Rupert, thank you for being here. Bilal, thank you for being here. I think we had close to like 50 people at some point. But for some reason, it doesn't tell us everybody who was here. But if you are here, thank you for being here. We appreciate you. And I think I'm missing another event that we're having on the 27th. We're going to have Bob Bloom. He's going to talk about how to set up your entities when it comes to investing in the US. And then on November 3rd, we're going to have Michal from Lendai talking about financing whenever you're looking to buy properties. So we do this once a week, Facebook Live. It's all unscripted. Like, we just have conversations. We have presentations from amazing experts like Sean. So thank you so much for being here. Sean, thank you for taking the time. We appreciate you. And if there's nothing else, then we will see you next time, guys. Have a great day.
Sounds
Bye-bye.
good. Have a great day. Bye-bye.